What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ Buck with you. Buck, how's it going, man? Are you still in North Carolina?
I am making my way back. I am in Northern Cal. I'm gonna drive down with my son today to get back to LA, so it should be fun.
Oh, nice, man. You're hitting all the spots here. Get Trey back home for the
Everywhere,
holidays.
all over the spot. So it should be pretty fun. Doing a little
Uh,
drive.
nice. We're gonna hit the game of the week here in a minute, but there's a couple things I wanted to get to at the top here. Starting with this ruling that just came out. Diego Pavia is going to get another year at Vandy, another year of college eligibility. There was a legal route that was taken, and what was the result was Juco years are not going to count, Buck. So
Yeah,
you can go Juco and then still have your full allotment of years to play in college. And it's not only impact JUCO, but in the language of the ruling, I was talking to an agent this morning about this, and he said just with the way that it was framed and the way that it was worded, um, he thinks there's a chance that you could have like a full 7-year run, 6 to 7 year run, even for the regular college kids. It's like refusing their right to work, is provided they're still enrolled in classes, taking a full workload. We're gonna have a lot of master's degrees and doctorates with football players. But I'm just saying, like this could go even beyond what we're seeing with the JUCO ruling here.
Well, just let's just think about it in so many different ways, right? So what you have available to you. So there are some JUCOs who operate like this. They won't bring you in at the beginning of the semester. They won't bring you in the fall. They bring you in the next January. So they
Mm-hmm.
gray shirt you. So then they
Yep.
get the year to make you a part-time student, to then work with you in the weight room, to then start your clock in that spring semester to get you ready to play in that fall. And it just changes the deal. So now say you can spend 3 years in JUCO, then you make your way to Division One or whatever program. You have 4 years that you can do that. I mean, or you can take your rest year there. So 5 years. DJ, you're talking about people that can come up with their associates, then they can graduate, they can bounce around the portal and get master's degrees and those things. It's going to be an interesting dynamic from the academic part, but I'll say this from a development standpoint on the field. DJ, I think it changes so much about everything, right? For so long, and look, I think there are a lot of people that are guilty of that. Like there was always a stigma around JUCO ball. There was a stigma around it. Let's talk about Last Chance U and the kids
Mm-hmm.
that would end up in JUCOs. There was a stigma about the coaching. Is the coaching the same? What you could have is all of the standards moving up a little bit in terms of the kind of coaches that you hire at that level, the kind of players that you bring at that level, how they kind of become feeder systems to other programs. Think about all the JUCOs that are in Mississippi and some of those Butler and those. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think there are going to be some selective ways that major schools can populate and do these things to really make it a full developmental system.
I think you bring up some great points. I would even add to that the scenario that we haven't thought of, which was, remember the BYU teams back in the day?
Mm-hmm.
Because they would take their missions right after high school. You could take your mission after high school. Your clock hasn't started. Go to JUCO for 2 years. Your clock still hasn't started. And then go fulfill, redshirt for a year and play for 4. Like we're talking about, you get a 30-year-old. We're going to get a 30-year-old college kid. I guess can't call him a kid. But what it's done is it's created a de facto minor league system, and people have decried that for years. Why is the NFL the only sport that really doesn't have a baseball minor league, basketball G League? We had you can go play in Europe. There's all these different places you can go develop if you're not ready yet. Now, the best of the best, like the premier guys, the 5-star level talents, they're still going to graduate high school 17, 18. Go off, get their 3 years, and it's going to make them valuable picks because you're going to be getting a 21-year-old, 21-year-old rookie, and you're going to have them for their best prime years, as opposed to some of these people, it's going to lead to prolonged college careers. But it's going to obviously it'll shorten your NFL career a little bit, and your value will change based off your draft board when you're looking at a 21-year-old versus a 26-year-old.
It'd be interesting, and it'd be interesting to tap into our baseball context, how they view those things, right? Because for so long in the baseball draft or in the baseball world, they always wanted the young guys that they could develop or whatever, and they still talk about that. But the college guys, the guys that were your 4-year college players, there was still a little bit of a smudge on them because they felt like they were old or whatever. The funny thing, though, when you look at baseball and some of these guys, you're seeing some of the college players come and have success,
Well,
just like
they're
you're seeing.
skipping the minors.
Yeah,
It's
just like you're
replacing the
seeing.
minor leagues.
Right, and just like you're seeing in basketball, you're seeing some of the 4-year college players have more success than the young phenoms. Does that make us in the scouting community collectively change the way that we view the age thing? You know, we
Mhm.
we always want young and dynamic and all that other stuff, but do we want now a more mature player? Not necessarily old, but mature, experienced, and those things. I believe we have to have these big conversations in meeting rooms about how that changes how we scout and how we talk about guys when it comes to the draft, because there used to be a different conversation when it came to talking about JUCO guys and short stints at the D1 level. I think it opens up the conversation for more perspective.
I think it's going to lead to like the tiered system, where if you think about baseball, low A, high A, double A, triple A, the majors, you're going to have kids. Okay, maybe I just go to JUCO for 1 year. I need to get stronger. I need to put on weight. I'm going to go to JUCO and I'm 160 pounds wide receiver. I'm going to get to 175 in this year. I'm going to work on, honing my craft. This year doesn't count. Then I'm going to go to Eastern Kentucky. I'm gonna go to Eastern Kentucky and I'm gonna play there for 2 years. I'm gonna play really, really well, and then that's gonna leave me an opportunity to transfer. Now I'm gonna transfer from Eastern Kentucky. Now I might go to Kentucky, and then I'm gonna finish up at Kentucky, and I'll have kind of climbed the ladder and gotten better along the way, and then that's gonna prepare me for taking the next step to the NFL. Talking to baseball guys, they've said there's a lot of stuff out there that Major League Baseball is going to contract some of these minor league teams. And they're basically saying, why are we paying for their development when we could just have them go to college, let these college programs develop them we don't have to pay for it. And then we'll just take the kids in college. Then instead of having to start a kid at low A, the college kid comes in and maybe we start him at double A. Like we've just kind of we're contracting out our development to them. In some ways, these colleges can contract some of their younger development for the programs that used to redshirt and develop. Now the JUCOs can do that for us, and it doesn't cost us a year.
Okay, so let's think about this, and I'll think about it because I know it works sometimes in high school. So in high school, you have middle schools that are your feeder programs, right?
Yeah.
Like every high school has 2 or 3 middle schools in the neighborhood that kind of produces the players that come to the school. Well, let's think about some of these colleges in certain areas saying, "Hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take X, Y, and Z community college, and we're going to place 5 guys here, 5 guys there, 5 guys here." Now, they're not committed to us per se, but we're going to highly advise them to go to these things. And we're going to help you by maybe give you some of the schematic stuff that we do, or beginning to say, here's some of the things that we want to do. DJ, you have to think that some of these partnerships are going to be created from your JUCOs and some of your colleges in the area to make sure that it's a mutually beneficial system. Because if the JUCO is good, it only helps the JUCO. If the players from there are good and come to the next level, it only helps them. I just think the people that are forward thinking are going to have some very creative ideas to help everyone become better and benefit from the rule.
And if I'm a high school kid and I feel like I was under recruited, and all I've got is I've got Southern Utah, I've got Tusculum offers, smaller school offers. I'm going to say, well, no, I'm going to go to my local JUCO down the street, and I'm going to work hard, develop, play well, and then I'm going to get my offer that I coveted. And it's going to be as if this never even happened,
Yeah, it's going to change. And let's also play this out. So what it's going to do, because people are very familiar with the franchise Last Chance Shoe. Like a lot of times when you would look at that franchise on Netflix, you would see people who had issues and those that prevented them from going to your traditional 4-year schools. Now I think it doesn't become just a haven for those guys. I think it literally becomes a developmental part of the process. It's part of the development plan to get you to the National Football League and beyond if you don't have a lot of interest. I would say my excitement will come from some of the high schoolers, right? Because before you would have high school guys who would kind of thumb their nose at JUCOs when guys would come around and say like, hey, why don't you come to local JUCO U, work on your game and do it. Now I believe the more that we talk about it and the more that colleges and NFL guys talk about the benefit of being able to do it, I think you'll see even a better product and better players going to JUCO without the issues that some of them have. I think overall it's going to change that. Now, some of the guys who were fringe players anyway, in terms of playing at the next level, it'll eliminate some of their spots being able to play football beyond high school. But I do think you can see more people have an opportunity to play beyond high school because more opportunities are ultimately going to open up below the D1 level.
Yeah, and I hope that they will invest. The junior colleges will invest. Where that money would come from, I have no idea. But being able to invest in facilities, strength room, strength training, and those things to properly develop. Somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to invest in a junior college program and say, we're going to have the resources here. That we want to be the go-to spot where you can come and get developed as that high school kid that you were talking about.
So the other thing that would be interesting, because like JUCOs are kind of populated in only a handful of areas, right? So you think about California, we have a ton of JUCOs. You think about in Mississippi and all that little corridor and connection. You think in Kansas,
Arizona,
Arizona.
Kansas. Yeah.
But now does it create more opportunities for community colleges to get into the mix and say, you know what, we haven't had a football team, but maybe we need to consider upgrading our football team because of the money that comes along with that. We know in most athletic departments, the football and basketball teams kind of fund that. Does it create more opportunities for these community colleges to think about expanding and making robust football programs because there are more guys, more high quality guys that can play at that level?
So you start getting better players, which you're going to attract better coaches. And what do we hear every time we have an all hands on deck meeting at our network? I mean, I'm just talking about our network, just in general. The content, people are starved for content. There's a million outlets for this content now on, especially with all the digital opportunities. So now all of a sudden the product's gotten better. We put some people in the stands to watch better players who are being coached by better coaches. And now all of a sudden we get the JUCO playoffs and we've got a deal with, Amazon, Netflix, whatever. And we're showing these games, and it's some people are interested in, and they should embrace, like, Last Chance U, like they should embrace all the behind the scenes stuff. Like, it's a great opportunity on so many different levels. So I like it. I think it's fascinating. I think it's going to help with the development of a lot of these kids, and I think you're going to see kids be more prepared, having more time, and like you said, maybe get your connect, your guy that's the guy that's spent some time and been developed properly and shows up as a mature adult into the professional sports scene.
Yeah, like DJ, we were talking about the players and those things, but we always talk about like the lack of experience. So it talks about like the coaching thing. Before everyone wasn't willing to go to the JUCO level because maybe you didn't view that as like a path or a plight to be able to become a coach at a higher level. Who was a coach that we used to see that was at San Diego State that was down at Grossmont for a while? Was it Kraft?
Tom Kraft. Yep.
Aircraft. But DJ, think about the fertile ground that now could be for guys to go and develop, like rather than be a middling assistant at a lower level. Maybe I go to JUCO and become a head coach or become a play caller and be able to do some different things because I'm now going to have more eyes on me and the product that I put out there. I just think it creates great opportunities for so many people involved in football. I don't really see a negative, even though some people say, oh, what are we doing? Everyone can't go there. I think more football is great for the game. It's great for the sport. And so I'm excited about it.
Yep. It'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds and what it all looks like. But fascinating nonetheless, for sure. Let's take a quick break. We come back. We'll hit the game of the week right after this.
It's time for the game of the week presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. This week is the Steelers at the Ravens. The spread is -6, favoring the Ravens. The over-under is 45. And DJ, as a member of this storied rivalry, I know you feel a certain way when it's Steelers week. Just your overall well, before we even get to talking about the game, just tell me what it's like to be on one side of that rivalry. How is that conversation? Because those who don't know how contentious this rivalry, just give them like a little glimpse at what it's like behind the scenes.
Yeah, I had my brother come out when I was in Baltimore, and the 2 years that I was living in Baltimore before I moved out to the West Coast with him. I told him after having seen one of them, I think it was my second year, I said, you got to come out for a game and I'll get you on the field, before the game. You can stay down there for the first quarter or so, but you need to come out to the Steelers game because you will not see or hear anything like that on the field ever again. Like especially because the rules are a little different in the early 2000s than they are now, but the physicality on every single snap, it was something I'd never seen before. And that was Bart Scott hitting Ben Roethlisberger, and it was Jerome Bettis and that whole crew. I mean, like it was It was physical. James Harrison, Palomalu, Ray and Ed. I mean, everybody just smacking each other. But it was truly a battle of who can be the most physical team. And it sounds like machismo, and that's like, it's got to be more to football than that. Not on that day. On that day, that was always going to come down to who was the more physical team, and they were going to both go for the full 4 quarters. It was not going to let up.
So here's the thing about it, right? So we talk a lot about like team building and how you have to make sure that your team is built to win the division. So there's certain players that you can't take in the AFC North based on the people that you're playing, the style of ball that is played traditionally within that division. To me, I love that. And I love that no matter whether we talk about it directly or we indirectly refer to our division rivals, you kind of know what you have to be able to take on those guys. You told me about when you're looking at defenders in Baltimore, when you work there, like draft picks, can he get Ben Roethlisberger down? Because if this guy can't get Big Ben down, then what are we doing? Can you tackle the likes of Jerome Bettis and the bigger backs, or Corey Dillon when he was in, like all of those type guys? This is an opportunity where it's not a measuring stick, but you always know what the other team is doing. And because, let's be real, like now in Pittsburgh, there's some cross-pollination between guys that used to be on the other side who are now on the Pittsburgh side. So they kind of know the inner workings of the building. I'm excited to see that. And directly, when I look at these two teams, the way it squares off, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Look, the Steelers have been the boogeyman the last few years. I think the Steelers have won, 8 out of 9 against Baltimore. They're one of the few teams that when it comes to dealing with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense, they are in attack mode. A lot of people sit on their haunches and wait. The Steelers take a counter approach to mobile quarterbacks where they go after them. We've seen Lamar Jackson grow leaps and bounds as a passer. I would say this year he's been even better than last year, his MVP year, in terms of throwing the ball. All of that will be tested in this game because we know they're going to come after him. They're going to blitz him. He not only has to be able to escape with his legs, he's going to have to punish them with his arm. And that is really where the game is going to be won.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on Patrick Queen, man. He'll have a lot to say about that. Former Raven. Means a little something extra to him. So we'll see how he does, ranging sideline to sideline, making plays. That's going to be fun to watch in this ball game. I do think it's a lower scoring game. These teams, I think they find their way into a street fight in this one, Buck. I think it's a slugfest. I think they're going to try and establish the run. I don't see as many big plays as Baltimore's been putting up. I think this one slows down a little bit.
Yeah, and I think really the pressure, let's flip it. It goes on the other side. It goes to Russell Wilson and how he's able to get this offense going. When we look at the two offenses, the Baltimore Ravens have been far more dynamic over the course of the year. But Russell Wilson has given the Steelers the added dimension of the deep ball. If they're able to run the football and kind of throw when they want to, meaning they're able to dictate the terms, the Steelers offense has been good. But can they rally from behind if Baltimore has a fast start? You would like to think that is why Russell Wilson was installed as the quarterback. He's supposed to bring them back if they fall from behind. This is when you want to tap into the winning pedigree, the experience, the Super Bowl experience that Russell Wilson has. You want to see him take his game and take that offense's game up a notch because he knows what it's like to play in these games.
Yep, that's why you brought him in for games like this. So it's going to be a fun matchup. I think it is the game of the week. I cannot wait to watch this one. Should be a goodie.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code MTS. New customers can bet just $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code MTS. The crown is yours.
Buck, it's a big football weekend. We've got the college playoff games coming up. Can't wait for that. We've also got a great matchup. A great slate of matchups there on Saturday. So we've got some fun ball games, but I also want to remind everybody you can watch the Chiefs versus the Steelers 1 p.m. Eastern and the Ravens Texans 4:30 p.m. Eastern. That is going to be on Christmas Day, and that is on Netflix. So just a little heads up here. It's a quick turnaround, for those teams coming back on a Christmas Wednesday. But we'll have Christmas football, man. The poor NBA, man. The ratings are down, and also and now the NFL just came in and said, all right, we're going to go ahead and take over Christmas now, too.
Well, not only that, decided we're going to take over the college football playoff, too. We're the big king. Yeah. We're taking it over. And not only do they put games on the day that you have the college football playoff, but you got big monster games when you talk about the
man.
Steelers, the Ravens. Unbelievable. But I'll say this as a football junkie who just loves watching it, man. Know what I'm doing on my Saturday? Click, click, click,
Yeah.
click, click, click. You got a lot of stuff to watch.
No question. Football galore. It's going to be a great football weekend. I want to encourage you to check out tomorrow's podcast. We will have my new coach, App State's new coach, Dow Loggins, is going to join the show. I get a chance to talk to him about the challenge that he's getting himself into. A really good dude. I think you'll enjoy that conversation. So check that one out tomorrow. We'll see you here on Move the Sticks.